Watching News at Prime, let's get into this discussion now. Science and Technology Minister Nzimande has partnered with Basic Education Department in an effort to encourage more pupils to take up the so-called gateway subjects. We're talking about maths and science. This as the country continues to celebrate the historic pass rate of the matric class of 2025. Dr. Nzimande is with me in studio tonight. And Minister, good evening to you. Thank you for making time for us.
Good evening, Koli, and thanks for inviting me.
It's good to have you here. Let's begin with your comments that you made in KwaZulu-Natal. I think it was in the past week where you were officially getting this campaign to try and encourage pupils to take up the maths and science subjects. I want to go directly to a quote that has been attributed to you, where you say, "We cannot hope to have high quality science if we provide our young people with poor quality education. Similarly, we cannot hope to have high quality education as a country if we produce poor quality science. You simply cannot have one without the other."
Yeah.
I'd like to juxtapose that.
Well, let me start by congratulating, by the way, the class of 2025 matric results for their performance, and in particular KwaZulu-Natal, which was #1 this time. Some people, I don't want to be naughty, who are Pirates supporters, they were saying that both KZN and Pirates are same WhatsApp group because they were both #1, though not anymore now with Pirates because Sundowns has remained #1. But, you know, on a serious note, that was just on a lighter note. One of the main challenges that we are still faced with is actually to increase the number of maths and science matriculants for our country, because we just do not have enough of those. Like right now, the class of 2025, only 34% of them wrote maths and science.
Yeah.
And we need much more than that. If I may to count that of the 34%, how many, for instance, got 60%, which is normally the requirement to go and do engineering and other science programs. So it's something that we inherited from apartheid, which is really one of the difficult things to crack. You remember Verwoerd said, what's the use of teaching Olimgambi mathematics as a black child? Because his skill is only good behind the spade and not maths and science. So that is the point I was making, that in order to improve the quality of our education, we also have to increase maths and science passes, and also maths and science passes contribute to our education quality, because that's the future. Those subjects are the foundation for the future. With more technologies, new technologies now, we need to actually increase it. We're not saying the other subjects are not important, but we are way back in terms of producing maths and science students at matric. It affects a lot of things.
Yeah.
It affects your technical and vocational, by the way. If you are going to be an electrician and you are going to be a boiler maker and so on, you need strong science foundation. Let alone university, as I've said. University, lots of subjects that we require more now in the economy in terms of going forward. They require maths and science foundation. So that's why I'm saying the two things are very interrelated. That's why we are collaborating with Basic Education to say we'd like to increase science and maths passes in order to be able to build the kind of South Africa we want in this modern world, which has got high technological skills that are needed in society.
Allow me to juxtapose your statement here with that of the University of Stellenbosch professor, Jonathan Jansen, who was on this show immediately on the back of the results announcement. And his sentiment is that, what is it that is being celebrated? Because this is meaningless. A 0.7 percentage increase to make the national pass rate 88%, frankly, to him, is an embarrassment. Essentially, he is questioning the quality of these matric passes that the country continues to produce. For him, there is something fundamentally wrong with the quality of our education system. Do you agree with him?
No, I disagree. I don't want also to be detracted by Professor Jansen. He always says that every year, irrespective of where we are. I don't think we must underestimate the achievement of our young people with this improved pass rate of matric. Not to underestimate the role played by our teachers, because they sacrifice, many of them. They go to school on weekends, they go to school during holidays in order to be able to ensure that we improve matric results. We are not where we want to be, but we can't be distracted by that, because it's like dismissing all this as if nothing has happened. Our youngsters have achieved a lot that is significant as a result of this. But at the same time, we mustn't underestimate, as I'm saying, the challenges that we still face.
Yeah.
In other words, the kinds of subject that we pass, you know, and so on. But we can't allow as a country to be pulled back by cynics, like Professor Jansen. He's a permanent cynic. On anything, he doesn't see anything positive, you know, and so on. I suppose he has a right to do that, because he's not right there where these things are actually happening. So we must congratulate our youngsters and congratulate the teachers and congratulate officials in the Department of Basic Education and in the provinces for the achievements they've made. But it's not enough. That I'm willing to say, as I'm pointing out, amongst other things, the maths and science passes, we still need huge improvement in order to be able to go where we would like to be as a country.
Minister, I want to, and again, connect two things that you may feel are not necessarily connected. We're still discussing the same matter of maths and science.
Yes.
But this week, as a country, we are in mourning, in the words of the Premier of Gauteng, because of the terrible accident that occurred on one of Gauteng's roads. In fact, one that could have been avoidable, owing to driver behavior, of course. But the Premier of Gauteng today makes a very interesting observation that the children were traveling, I'm paraphrasing it, were traveling from one end of the province going to where their parents think that they were going to get better quality education. And he says, he's decrying this. He says, this cannot continue to happen. That's a failing on the government of the day. Is it not, Minister?
Well, let me start by saying also that I wish to express my own condolences to the families of the young learners who passed away, as well as the communities where they come from and the schools where they come from. Indeed, you know, it's something that, this is another wake-up call, not for the first time, you know, that we actually do need, first of all, generally, to provide public and safe transport for every South African. But it's worse when it's our youngsters, you know, who are dying at age 6, at age 12, you know, at age 10, and so on. I do agree with the Premier of Gauteng, because our goal is still to have our kids not going to faraway schools from where they stay. Because we still have an uneven education system and schools. Some schools are seen by parents as doing better.
But whose fault is that, Dr. Nzimande? Because I can't allow you to sit here today after 30 years of ANC rule and still talk about the uneven education system.
Yeah.
Where have we been?
I agree that we also, as this government, has to take responsibility of that. I'm not going to be unduly defensive. But at the same time, we must understand where we come from. We come from a system that, for centuries, not just decades, destroyed the possibility of education for the black child in particular, a working class child in South Africa, you know. You can't just undo that in 30 years. We are not saying we shouldn't have done better. We should have done better, actually, about this. I remember, for instance, I was part of negotiating the education clause in the Constitution in 1996. Some of the things we are still battling with, like the Bella Act, you know, that we must have schools equally accepting kids and not using language to discriminate. We should have implemented that a long time ago. But at the same time, we must not underestimate the education system that we actually inherited. So yes, we're going to take some blame as government now, but at the same time, we mustn't underestimate the enormity of the challenge that we actually inherited. Not only just in the past, there's still resistance now. That's why I've got organizations like AfriForum, largely racists who do not want us to change.
But they're building their own institutions, by the way.
They are building their own institutions because of our constitution, by the way. Our constitution allows them to build private institutions which they are actually doing on their own. I was one amongst those who were feeling that maybe we shouldn't allow private institutions, but we didn't win that in the negotiations, you know, and in drafting the constitution. So we mustn't underestimate the enormity of the problem, and continuing resistance by elements like those who do not. They've even gone to the United States to tell Trump a lie, which he repeats every day, President Trump, to say that there is actually genocide against Afrikaners. It's part of this resistance that we are dealing with. So we will accept our own weaknesses, but at the same time, we must see these elements who do not want us to progress as a country.
Dr. Nzimande, as a final question to you, and I can't ignore the fact that you come from the ANC Lekgotla,
yes,
by virtue of the shirt you are wearing.
Absolutely.
But you're also one of those that wears two hats. You're a very senior ANC member on the one hand, and you're also the chairman of the South African Communist Party.
Yeah.
Are you in agreement that the Communist Party contest elections independent of the ANC? And what is the gamble here?
By the way, I am, and many others, proudly members of both organizations.
And you're going to lose one of them, by the way, if Mbalula has anything to do with it.
Well, we hope that we don't reach that stage, because the alliance is not at stake. As far as we are concerned, including in the Communist Party, the maintenance of the alliance is a non-negotiable. Even more so in this current global world, when we have got this hostility even coming from the President of the United States, we need to unite ourselves. Yes, the SACP has taken a resolution from its special Congress to contest local government elections, but we are both committed to engage, such that we say, how do we manage that situation, such that we don't break the alliance, we don't actually break the unity of the organizations. Both organizations are committed to that. We have to find a solution. We have no choice. Because if we break the alliance, I think that this country will actually go back decades. That's a fact. So there is continued engagement, but now it's not only just the two organizations, it's the alliance as a whole, including COSATU and SANCO, who are saying, let's try and find one another within this context. And we don't think it's impossible to actually find one another, even if the SACP has actually taken this decision in its own Congress, which it has a right to take, and the ANC recognizes that, but let's not break the alliance, because the alliance is one of the most important formations that have taken this country to even where we are. We've made lots of progress over the last 30 years, by the way.
Your personal comments on this matter, they leave much to be desired, but we're going to leave the conversation there because I know you were never going to end this conversation. Thank you very much for making time for us.
Yes, no, thanks for this opportunity, and to your listeners and viewers, thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
Yeah.
Dr. Nzimande, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation.